Hello, my name is Alan, and today I'm facilitating a session of Hit the Nazi, Retrieve the Ark. This is my reskin stroke hack of Rich Rogers' Hit the Streets, Defend the Block superhero game, street level superhero game, designed for confronting pulp Nazis. Though I have no idea when I record this whether you will see the back to front version I'm seeing or the right way round version that the players are seeing. Time will tell. Pulp game, obvious kind of go-tos would be any Indiana Jones movie, and I guess something of kind of 1930s radio serials. We are setting our game in 1935. Last time we began this two-shot in New Gauntlet City, because that allows me to pitch this as Gauntlet Comics. If you don't know about Gauntlet Comics or the Gauntlet, then please search Gauntlet-RPG and you will find the Gauntlet RPG community. We are a group, a wide-ranging worldwide group of players interested in playing role-playing games online, largely story, indie, rules light, OSRE kind of games, but not necessarily. I'm currently playing in a game of Knights Black Agents, for instance. So if you don't know about Gauntlet, do check us out or go and look at the first of this two-shot. This is by way of an experimental two-shot, and I'm so pleased the players were prepared to chip in and have a go at what is really a game in progress. So before I ask them to introduce myself, I will remind everyone that my pronouns are he, him. And I will go in character keeper order, ask you to say hello, tell me what your pronouns are, and also introduce us briefly to your character and tell us what their pronouns are. And I've just realized Alexi is eating his lunch or breakfast probably. So let me go to the other end and do reverse character keeper order. Brandon, say hello and introduce us to Alan Dark, aka Mr. Midnight.
Hello, my name's Brandon, he, him pronouns, and I am playing Alan Dark, whose stage name, as the master magician that he is Mr. Midnight, specializing in close-up illusions, disappearances, and the like, and fighting pulp villains as a sideline.
Indeed, and very good at distracting people with magical effects, I noticed last time. Moving along, Will, say hello and introduce us to Rosy Strand, the ace reporter.
Hi, I'm Will. My pronouns are he, him, unlike my character, Rosy Strand, whose pronouns are she, her, which I think is one of the only times I've ever said that particular monologue at the start of a game in that way. Rosy Strand is a ace reporter for the Gauntlet Gazette. She is organised crime, and she's close friends with Diana Darling, but completely unaware of several secrets that a good friend has.
Thank you for that. Moving along, Joe, say hello and tell us about Diana Darling, aka Miss Fortune.
Hey, I'm Joe. My pronouns are they, them, she, her, and I am playing Miss Fortune, aka Diana Darling, also she, her. Yeah, she's a masked vigilante fighting crime wherever it may rear its ugly head. And of course, only one other person knows that Diana Darling is Miss Fortune. And that's the way she likes to keep it.
I can't remember who does. I lost track last time.
Mr. Dark.
Mr. Dark does, yes, Mr. Midnight. He is. That's right. He has a discerning eye.
He does. Though I got the sense last time that our final character, Rocky Rockwell, was beginning to suspect. But let's move on. Alexi, say hello and tell us something about Russell Rocky Rockwell.
Hey, so I'm Alexi, he, him. You can follow all of my gaming endeavors online at Cloven Pine Games. As Ellen alluded to, I was just eating my breakfast. If I seem a little tired, it's because I've just gotten up after a rough night with the baby. But I am here to give the Nazis an even rougher day, so that'll be good. The character I'm playing here is Russell Rocky Rockwell. He's a bruiser. He's an inventor. He loves his family, his country, and his souped-up bright red 1933 Dodge pickup Cherry. Last time around, we saw him, messing with enemy gadgets and throwing haymakers at mob enforcers, and at the very end, investigating the ransacked room of German scientist Professor Klaus Haas, only to find that Haas's notes had been taken, but perhaps a clue was left by the perpetrators.
Dun, dun, dun. Indeed. So one of the conceits of this game is that every time the players will work through a process of telling me what's going to happen and where it's going to happen. So let me carry on with that keeper order. So I'm going to go back round to Brandon. And the first question I have for you, Brandon, is what do you need to achieve in this episode? And there's a drop down.
Oh, there's a drop down.
There is.
Where is it?
If you look at the episodes tab.
Okay, there it is. Okay, what do we need to achieve in this episode? Punk. I think someone is in danger. Save them.
So someone is still in danger. We're going to still be saving, presumably, Professor Haas.
Yes.
Okay, select that one if you would, please. So Professor Haas is kidnapped, lost, or maybe just with his family. We'll worry about that later. Okay, moving along then. Will, do you have a preference for where's the principal location? And it can't be New Gauntlet City.
Well, you know exactly what
We have to have a different location.
You know exactly what I'm going to go for.
Yeah, of course you're going to go for it.
I'm going to go for Wilderness Miles from it. No, I'm going to go for Secret Facility.
Okay, make the selection. A secret facility. And what's the local climate, Joe?
Oh, I think it's nice and snowy.
Yeah.
Oh,
Because it's winter time and there's snow outside. I'm like, oh, we got to have a snow fight.
Himalayas. Sorry.
I'm beginning to sense a South Pole Nazi secret facility. Who's going to drive out of Gauntlet City to get some snow when you could go to the Arctic or the Antarctic? Okay, what's the...
It's clearly a convenient mountain range near Gauntlet City.
Yeah, this has got to be a mountaintop, mountain location.
Moving along then. So, Alexi, what does Rocky think the local terrain we are going to encounter in this episode is?
I see people are pushing for mountains. You know what? I'm gonna go with desert, because I think it's more fun if there's a anomalously snowy secret facility in the middle of a desert.
Oh,
well, there are
deserts
where it snows.
There are. Okay,
in Mongolia and such like that, right?
Some high altitude desert area. Okay. And I suppose you could argue tundra is desert-like, but we'll see. Okay, going back round then, Brandon, what constitutes the most significant, though probably not the only, threat in this episode? And again, I would like it to be a different one.
A different one than yes, absolutely. All right. I'm going to go with the occultists because I'm a magician and we just seem to run into those.
Okay, so we have occultists working for the Nazi occult. Okay, moving along. Tell us about someone or something that you might find in this location, Rosy, that might be helpful.
Sorry, I'm just getting my head around the cold desert secret facility stuff. Someone or something that you might find here that might be useful. Professor Breckenridge has been doing some freelance work.
Okay.
As a consultant work, perhaps, you know?
So Professor Breckenridge may know something of this location.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. So if you could fill in something to that effect, that would kill a number of birds with a stone, for which I am grateful. Thank you. Moving along. Diana, darling, Ms. Fortune, tell us about a contact you have in the vicinity of this secret location.
Gwendolyn Watson, she's a spy for OSR. What was the British Secret Intelligence thing? I don't remember.
Then she would be I think MI6 at that point. I think MI6 has existed since before the 30s. So MI6.
I was thinking.
Were you thinking of OSS? Because that's an American
OSS.
organization.
That's a wartime American organization.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of.
Okay,
OSS.
so the US, the OSS.
I got Peggy Carter mixed up with OSS, so.
I think Peggy Carter does work for OSS. It's just that she's originally from Britain.
Okay, so that's my idea. Yeah,
that's fine. Put something in that cell as an aid memoir. Tell us about someone who's got a down on you in the vicinity of this location. What does Rocky think is going to be the bad contact?
So this is like separate from the Nazi occultists that we think would turn up here. Okay. Just
if I was making an analogy, this would be the dangerous French archaeologist compared to the Nazis digging up the Ark.
Boy, and they've got it down on me specifically from among this group.
It could be us. It could be, someone that I can throw into the mix as a bad guy.
Yeah. I think there's a rival inventor that has clashed with Rocky, including in semi-legal street races, who is out here in the desert, perfecting his latest tweaks to whatever fancy car he's driving. It's like a super fancy pants car. It's not a down to earth, honest working man's car like mine.
No, of course not.
No, of course not.
That would be entirely inappropriate in a villain. Okay, yeah, clearly aligned with Nazis, like all the wealthy. Yes, that puts us.
Yes,
frames us very tightly.
I'd like to say that the occultists are not necessarily involved in. That doesn't necessarily mean that that the occult thing they're doing is true, but they believe it. It's got mystical significance and such like that.
Okay.
And they think that that Haas, has crucial information to help them find, the lost Ark or whatever it is.
The elder science.
Yes.
Okay.
That's right. The science, the Atlantean, science of the Atlanteans or whatever it is.
Let's not create too much before, because who knows how we will bind this all together, colleagues. So we have an outline for the plot, but I do need to pick up what I didn't do last time, which was to pick up on experience. So can I ask you to just have a look at the rules tab, where you will find end of session experience. At the end of every episode, the GM agrees with the table the answers to the following questions. So let me start. Let's ask Rosy. Did you clash with someone who threatened your mission?
Yes.
As a group? Yeah, I think you did. Certainly that out-of-town torpedo, Wesley, whose second name I've forgotten. So everyone gets 1 XP. Let me go to Misfortune. Did you protect the innocent at least once?
Yep.
Oh, absolutely. And let me ask Rocky, did you confront or defeat a villain?
Sure, we confronted some villains.
Yeah, absolutely. And well, the professor was saved from the out-of-town torpedo.
There we go.
So everybody gets 3 XP. And then let me run round, starting with Mr. Midnight, Alan Dark. Did you support another pulp hero when they needed you?
Absolutely.
Yeah, lots of distraction going on. Lots of don't look over there. Look over here. You get an XP. running along. Did Rosy Strand support another Palpiro when they needed you?
Yeah, Rocky was going to get shot if I hadn't quick talked things out of the way there.
Exactly. Our out-of-town torpedo was worried about appearing in the Gazetteer. What about Misfortune? Did you support another Palpiro when they needed you?
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh,
don't
yeah.
remember.
I mean,
Okay.
yeah. We ended up in your hideout.
All right.
Duh. At least that.
Sure. I'll take it.
Of course you will. Have an XP. And finally, Rocky, did you support another Palpiro when they needed you?
I feel like I did. I whisked Misfortune out of danger, sort of by accident, by messing around with that endlessly amusing revolving table elevator device.
Yeah.
Table Vader.
What pulp episode is not enriched by having a rotating booth stroke elevator? Okay, so everyone has 4 XP. You can spend this. So you only have 4 to play with, and this is a 2-shot, so spend them or lose them. You know, I will let you use them in play. So if you hit any of those flags in play today, you will get the XP instantly. So I suppose you could hang on. But the only thing you currently have the option of is increase a stat by 1, costs present value times 3 XP. So what are we thinking? Mr.
Wait,
Midnight?
increase the stat by 1, cost present value. So we could only increase our 1s at the moment.
Right.
Exactly so.
No.
So let me run along. Mr. Midnight, are you tempted? Will you stick or twist? Will you
No, I will.
play or not?
I will hang on then.
Okay.
For that 5th XP.
And just do please nudge me if you hit one of those triggers as we play. What about Rosy Strand?
I will take it. I will increase my tools to 2.
Okay, tools go up to 2, and you have 1 XP in hand. What about Misfortune?
I already increased like when you first sent us the message, so I took
Okay.
one of either hands or feet to 2. I forget.
Okay. What about Rocky?
Bringing up feet to 2.
Okay, so we're all sorted. What I have in my mind as a place to start here is we know that Diana Darling emerges from the bedroom of her plush apartment, wearing an elegant wrap, I would suggest, wondering where Zara Haas is, having spent the night with Zara. And Zara is gone, as is Leo and the Professor. What? Because we didn't really get a reaction from you last time. It was just kind of cliffhanger. What's Diana's reaction?
Well, this is a bit nerve-wracking. She's a bit frazzled, to say the least, as she's frantically searching the penthouse, seeing if there was signs of struggle. That doesn't make sense. Why wouldn't she be abducted in the process? I mean, she's
Because it's impossible that Zara just left.
Yeah, well, there was a note left. What's going on?
Nothing. How strange.
Yeah, it's not good. Have to make a very frantic and upset phone call.
Now, Rocky, you gave us our final cliffhanger last time by coming to the professor's kind of disturbed hotel room. It's clearly been searched. Anything useful has been taken, including his notes, his notebook that you went looking for. But you did find a clue. So what is the clue that you found that will lead you to this episode's secret facility in a cold desert?
It's got to be like a rumpled travel brochure for this great desert getaway. Not terribly far from New Gauntlet City.
I was hoping it was going to be a long way away so we could invent a submarine ship or airship.
Yeah,
but,
can we draw lines on the map? And things?
Yeah, I want to see a dotted red line moving across the world.
All right. A rumpled brochure for this desert a very long way away from New Gauntlet City.
Okay, the high plains of Mongolia is coming to mind, I have to tell you, in winter. Rosy, what, if anything, do you file as a story for the Gauntleteer after last night's events?
German genius gets gangsters grit. Gets gangsters goat. Yeah.
Yay!
Yeah.
Very good, very good, very good. And Alan Dark, you went to the hotel with Rocky, and then what? You went home to your plush apartment?
I did, yes.
And when the phone rings the following day, and Diana is ringing saying that the Haases, they're all gone, what's your reaction?
I had a feeling something like this would happen.
I had a feeling.
Yeah.
Lovely. Okay.
Yes, and you see him taking down a suitcase from a storage closet, a big thing, and checking on the contents, which seemed to be some sort of folded up Poland fabric affair, nodding, and Myra says, "Where are you? What are we including that in the next show?" And I said, "I'm afraid so."
Oh, a mysterious suitcase is in play. Okay. Let me go round to Rocky then. Rocky, after the hotel, presumably you went home to the family.
Yeah, I mean, I'll pass on what we found there to make sure our little loose association of pulp heroes are on the same page. But yeah, I'll go back to the Rockwell residence.
And your wife is Molly, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Molly's so relieved you come home, albeit it's rather late, Rocky, because she took a telephone message from Professor Breckenridge. And he's asked you to ring him back.
All right, Mal, gotta give the prof a call, I guess. So I will, give my wife a peck on the cheek, pat the kids on the head, and call up Professor Breckenridge.
Rocky, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Where are you?
I just got back home, Prof. I heard you left me a message.
Yes. My contacts in the FBI have tell me that there's a German professor in country who might be a spy.
I don't know if he's in country anymore. He just got. We're talking about Haas, right?
Yes. How do you know?
Just had a chance to get to know him. He seems all right. I don't think he's a spy. His kids, though, not so sure about.
Well, my contacts in the FBI and the Department of Defense say that they gave him access to some important intelligence, valuable scientific information. In return, they claimed for something he was able to tell them. But now he's gone with the information. Rocky.
Like just a a real like furrowed brow moment as Rocky takes this in. He says, "Not to worry, Professor. I can call around, gather some like-minded folks, and make sure nothing untoward comes of the doctor's excursion. Listen, do you have any leads on what we should be expecting if we try to pay the doctor a visit now?"
Well, all I can say, Rocky, is that Haas was supposedly had some remarkable stuff on ballistics, but it's big ballistics, Rocky. Big ballistics. Not
Like
just
a
bullets.
giant gun?
That seems to be the kind of thing we're talking about.
Prof, you did the right thing calling me. We're gonna get to the bottom of this, don't you fear.
Well, when America calls, I know who to telephone.
and like Rocky stands up a little straighter and like looks at the like Norman Rockwell painting hung up in his house, and sheds a single tear.
It's the cousin.
Wow. Diana, your telephone also rings.
Well, yeah. Pick that up in a frazzled tizzy.
Diana, it's your father. I've got a report on my desk that says that you were at some nightclub last night where there was all kinds of trouble.
Well, I mean, I heard there was a spot of trouble, but I mean, I was powdering my nose. I must have missed it all.
Well, look, Diana, it's really important. I cannot but show that we actually have your father is being played by Peter Cushing, and I don't know how to do Peter Cushing doing an American accent, so forgive me, but he's clearly very angry because look, Diana, whenever trouble occurs, you're always in the vicinity, and it's not good for my reputation. Damn it!
Oh, Daddy, you're blowing things way out of proportion. I'm
not
rarely involved in any sorts of trouble outside of.
But that hooligan misfortune was involved.
If you say so. Are we even sure that she's real?
I have reports on my desk. She swung across the club on a chandelier, firing guns at people.
Well, that seems very unladylike.
Well, I put out an all-points alert for that hooligan, and trust me, sooner or later, we're going to get her.
I believe you, Daddy. Best of luck. I've got a busy day ahead of me.
Well, doing what, I might ask? Your mother wonders why you don't come to see us more often. But I've got a city to run.
Oh, there's the door. I've got to go. Bye.
Rosie, your phone rings, and it's your editor, Jeremiah Jameson, and Jeremiah wants to know, what are you going to do to follow up on your story, Strand?
Well, listen, Jerry, I told you I've been telling you this whole time.
I'm Mr. Jameson to you.
Oh, come on now, Jerry. We still going to go over that?
Well, what have you got planned?
All right, Jay. All right, JJ. I keep telling you that those Germans ain't sticking to their own place. You know, my author's always telling me they got plans all over the world, and I'm telling you, they got something going on down here.
Well, what are you going to do? I need another story.
Oh, you're willing to pay for it now. You're willing to put some money up for me to go on. If you want, you're going to say that you're going to back me. I can take the story wherever it goes, and I will fill your headlines, sir, with all the German shenanigans you ever would want.
That's exactly what I want from you, Strand. I want more Nazis on my front page.
Okay, and I pull out the battered pamphlet that Rocky shared with me, and I say, well, I'm going to need a small team of assistants, clearly, for my... we got a lead on a...
What do you mean, Strand? You work alone. You have that beat. You do this job. You don't have assistants. I have assistants. You're my assistant.
Yeah, and your assistant needs assistants, and assistant's assistants. You know, you remember Rocky?
Look,
he's a real patriot. I know that Jeremiah Jameson would not refuse a patriot's presence on this such a thing.
Well, if I want to see all the bills, all the receipts,
Of course, in triplicate, I promise.
Okay. When can I expect that story?
Well, takes about 2 days to get out to Mongolia. So let's say
What's
3.
what?
Thanks, JJ.
What? Where do we next see you together? It would seem to me that after that series of conversations, the logical place for us to cut to is Miss Fortune's hideout in the warehouse district. Does that work?
Yeah. Can I, like a described scene in between, perhaps, where Rosy, is speaking to Diana, packing stuff up and telling her everything that's happening and going like, I know you, like, look, Diana, you can't help, okay? You're you're out of your depth, all right?
I'm just so worried. I don't. What happened to them? They've disappeared.
I'll be right back.
Like, because you would have been the first person she called. So.
Yeah. Leave it to me, Diana. I'll make sure it's all fine. Don't worry. I don't want you to be in trouble. And then meet you at Miss Fortune's place where you can reveal that you know far more than you.
So it does seem like we have committed to Outer Mongolia as our high altitude cold desert in the middle of nowhere. That works for me.
Yes. Myra straightens the pocket handkerchief in in Alan's immaculate suit, and before giving him a peck on the cheek and telling him not to to come back in one piece.
I mean, I do want to ask: is Alan? I mean, we know that Mr. Midnight always performs in white tie and tails, but
yes.
I presume Alan Dark doesn't dress like that all the time.
He does not. He does not. When he's incognito, as it were. I mean, he doesn't wear a mask or anything. But when he's not performing, no, he's in an immaculate three-piece suit.
Great.
French cuffs. Every not a hair out of place. And he's still capable of doing little close-up things, from pockets here and there, but it's a very different sort of look.
I'm assuming that this suit, beautifully cut as it is, it in fact conceals a whole variety of magical accoutrements.
Yes, absolutely.
So, Miss Fortune, as is always the case, you are always going to be at your hideout first, obviously. So as Rosy and Rocky and Mr. Midnight or Alan arrive, Miss Fortune, how are you going to get them to Mongolia?
I've got a friend that's a pilot.
I rather hoped you were going to be a
Zeppelin pilot.
Yes.
Well, I mean, I can't. I could, but sure.
Yes.
Sure. I was thinking more like Shadow, like, yeah, I've got people that can help.
Rather than introducing another NPC, I would love Miss Fortune to have
that archetype, though. I'm sorry.
I mean, what is this? Is it an airship? Is it a plane?
I'd say, I guess Zeppelins are kind of fun.
Okay.
I saw them in the chat, so
yeah. So
a bit more slow moving, but
they're kind of leisurely. It's like
maybe not as maybe the Zeppelin's not the best idea, but
it's a speedy Zeppelin. It's a special experimental craft.
And it's also a pulp thing, so Zeppelins go at the speed of plot, right?
Exactly so. Trust me, that red line is going to move across the map of the world at the same rate, whether you're in a jet plane or an airship.
It's just too bad the Zeppelin launch field is all the way out of town past the police barricades.
Indeed so. You will have to get to your secret mountain hideaway, Miss Fortune, where you store your Zeppelin.
Okay. I know, like, we wanted this, but isn't this just sort of getting in the way of us advancing the plot, though?
Yeah, maybe the police could be at the other end.
Yeah.
Well,
we could be chased by the army of the other people. So
okay, then we've introduced Simon Darling. I will allow you to make your way. We will cut to the Zeppelin.
Yeah.
And we will have the dotted line that heads from Gauntlet City across the Atlantic, probably stopping off somewhere in Spain, then across the Mediterranean. Damascus would seem like a suitably exotic place to stop off. Then somewhere in Rajasthan, and then over the Himalayas to Mongolia. Where do you land, Misfortune? Because know that you've got a travel brochure for, you know, the high plains of Mongolia, but you're going to need to put this down in some kind of location.
When do we start getting shot at?
Well, you know, you tell me where you go, I'll tell you whether there are bullets waiting.
I don't know geography, so.
So I'm thinking that you need to put down in some small village on the edge of the desert. Yeah?
Okay, sure.
And that, of course, is when the Messerschmitts arrive. As you come over the Himalayas, you can see, again, pulp geography. You come over the Himalayas, you can see the Great Plains of Central Asia ahead of you. And that's when the Messerschmitts arrive. So, Rocky, what weaponry have you equipped? What do we call this? The
Zeppelin?
The Fortune Zeppelin.
The bad year blimp.
No.
It belongs to Misfortune. If that works for you.
No.
No.
I love it.
So how have you equipped? What defenses do we have to call upon here?
You know, we had a long flight over the Atlantic, so you have to keep busy somehow. So I was just, you know, rigging up a number of artillery stations, you know, to our Zeppelin, and like maybe some weirder stuff, like, you know, canisters that explode and, you know, create big you know, clouds of obscuring smoke and whatnot, right? So like we got some options. Probably is it clear that the German planes can see us, or do we have a chance
Zeppelin.
Give them the slip? You know,
I think
it's a speedy
so far
it's a sleek Zeppelin.
It's very sleek.
But
it's
we've motored across
it is noticeable.
the world here.
I mean, I'm curious whether you try to avoid them using some gimmick, or whether you are going to engage them, and whether indeed the Flying Fortune, Misfortune's advanced aeroplane, is on board.
Of course it is. It's got a little one of those drop release hanger things.
Yes.
So Rocky we've got a sense that the airship can defend itself. We've invented the Fortune Flyer. Rosy, what are you going to do when, you know, you see these? And of course you have radar a decade before. So what are you going to do when you see this on your on the radar screen, Rosy?
Rocky, is it supposed to be making those bleeps?
That means we got company incoming, Rosy.
Oh boy, what a scoop!
What about Alan Dark? What is Alan going to do when it becomes apparent?
I'd love to say that's, you know, my next trick will be to make an entire Zeppelin disappear, but this stage work is, I don't have the prep for it. Yeah, really. I think that what I am doing is I am scanning the ground, looking for our bolt hole.
Okay.
Because we're up against faster, more maneuverable enemy, and, you know, we may be able to drive them off a bit, but sooner or later, they're going to run us to ground, and I'd rather do it in a place where we have some safety. So I'm yeah, I've got the binoculars out, and I'm looking at the ground for a place with an overhang or a hidden tunnel or anything else
Really
that
big
may.
tunnel.
Yes. Well, no, I mean not necessarily for the airship. I mean,
Okay.
we may have to escape ourselves and leave the airship to its fate.
Misfortune. What do we see you doing as as the airship is likely to come under attack unless you can find some way to lose them?
I mean, you did mention trying to think of a better name for a fortune flyer, but the release fighter plane. So I'm like, well, all right, yeah. I look over to the three of them. I'm like, Rocky, take the wheel. Take the stick, Rocky. I'm like, no, maybe no. Rocky's good at driving. It's the same principle.
Same general principle. He's like, yeah. So this is the go up lever.
Yeah, you'll do fine.
Up, down, left, right. What more is there to know?
Here we go.
There's only one obstacle really, and it's the ground. So avoid that.
Okay, so Rocky, you are now controlling the airship.
Yeah.
What tactics are you going to employ?
Yeah, I'm gonna launch some of these like black billowing smoke grenades straight above us to create some cloud cover, and maybe the Messerschmitts won't be able to find the blimp in this sudden storm cloud that has appeared.
Okay, now this trying to hide create enough cloud to hide a zeppelin strikes me as quite a demanding thing. So I think I'm going to make this an incredible challenge. So I'm looking for 5 successes, all 5. But I think that certainly this does fit with your inventor awesomeness, because nobody else could have come up with the idea of making clouds. So go ahead and tell me what you think applies. I think you're certainly being awesome.
Yeah. Okay. Being awesome, being an inventor, using tools. That's 6 to start. And I need 5 successes.
You do.
Sure. I'll throw in some spark here. I'll throw in 3 spark myself to bring that up to rolling 9. Yeah. Mr. Midnight, do you want to help me make a zeppelin disappear? And like Rocky will say, you got any tricks up your sleeve, Dark? I could use a little more obscurity right now.
I do. It's a little thing. It's a little thing I call the midnight effect. Here, put this in your.
That.
Put this. Yeah, I toss him a little package, and I said, "Put this in your launcher."
And in blind faith, Rocky will do it. So is that are you spending a spark for me here?
I am doing that.
Great.
We're on 10. Is there anything Rosy can do?
She can take the wheel.
No, I'm taking the wheel. I'm driving.
Okay. Misfortune's had a great idea, which is that Rosie's going to slip into the fighter plane as well to take pictures of the aerial duel as we go on.
Okay, and I guess Misfortune, is it possible that you could add spark to this effort to hide the zeppelin by, I don't know, distracting the fighters?
Sure. Also, like, I don't know, maybe there's a little switch, and like maybe it's like it gets like a mirrored coating, so like can blind them.
Ooh, interesting.
Well, so we now have a mirrored zeppelin in a man-made cloud. Okay, can I read that as another point of spark thrown Rocky's way?
2
spark thrown. So I think we're on 12 dice. I don't have enough fingers.
All right.
And we are looking for 5. I will remind you that we in between sessions, we've decided that when you're being awesome, all oofs cost spark. But
up to the
difficulty
level. All right.
Which is 5.
Let's do it. I'm gonna roll 12d6 here. Well, that's enough successes.
And only costs you 1 oof of spark.
Yeah, but that's 8 successes all told.
That is a lot of successes, and some of them are 6s. So as these fighter, because of course the Germans don't have radar at this point, so they're working entirely on visuals, and so we'll see, the radio. I think I see something. I think I see, and then oh no, it's just a cloud, just a cloud. So that is success. But what other benefit do you want, Rocky, for that 6 or those 6s?
Mr. Midnight was keeping an eye out for like place to land safely. Let's say like as we're now like covered with this cloud, the shadow of our cloud crosses like the perfect spot, right? You were like it's like the side of a mountain that's been kind of eroded away a little bit. So like there's the perfect space to just bring the Zeppelin down gently, but then it'll be covered by the overhang of the mountain and hidden from view. Does that work for you?
That's brilliant. That's brilliant. So down into some kind of ravine and then just drift it sideways under this overhang.
There we go.
Brilliant. Meanwhile, Miss Midnight, those fighters are still out there. The disguise has worked. Misfortune, sorry. Forgive me. Misfortune. The fighters are still out there, and they will be undertaking a search pattern unless, what do you do?
Oh yeah, I'm gonna shoot them down, obviously. Come on.
So
dirty Nazis.
I think this would be a remarkable feat, but I think probably because there are 2 of them, I'm going to up the difficulty to incredible for you too. So the difficulty is 5.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to tell us about how you construct your dice pool?
Let's see. Pretty sure I'm being awesome, as I'm flying around, shooting down dirty Nazis.
You're a masked vigilante. You have a mask on right now.
Yeah, of course, always. Almost always. Tools, obviously. The vehicle is a tool. Do I get the bonus from the Masked Vigilante? No, that's when using heart. I don't know. I don't remember.
Well, no, but are you not now defending your friends?
Oh, that is true. That's true. I'm defending the friends of humanity that are anti-Nazis.
And you're being a masked vigilante, so of course you get your 2. So you're at 9.
Okay, cool.
I will donate 2 spark as well.
At what point does Misfortune know that Rosie has stowed away?
I think like in the middle of it, like all of a sudden, maybe this is how you're helping. Like as like we're like flying by, you take a picture and the flash is like blinding them as well. But Rosie, what are you doing?
Listen, I need shots or JJ is going to be really annoyed.
The only shots you need to be making is with that turret.
Oh, fine. And I put down the camera and start firing the turret.
So I think you're at 11 with Rosie's 2 spark.
And I'll spend 1.
Okay. So that's 12 dice. Clear the ones we've got. Go ahead and roll 12d6, looking for 4 5s and 6s. Difficulty is 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Wow! That is success with style, but there are 3 oofs. So you take 3 spark, Misfortune. How does that look on screen?
Cost of being a hero.
What do we see on screen?
Oh, there's I'm really good at punching and shooting people on the ground. I'm not really the best pilot, or especially not in a dogfight. Like just traveling, sure, that's easy. These are trained military air fighter pilots, so we're getting shot up real bad. I don't know. Does Rosie do the Indiana Jones Sr. and shoot out the tail of the plane?
Yes, of course. Yeah. They got us.
But you have sixes in your roll there, Misfortune. So what is tremendous about this? What's awesome about the way this scene climaxes?
I think as like one of them's like leaping out the parachute, like we swoop by and basically like catch their parachute or catch them. So we've got like a little prisoner to interrogate to try to find out where their base is.
Oh, that's very good. Yes.
Oh, or we can get both, and we just have like some disguises.
Well, I like your first idea, to be honest.
Okay.
What I'm imagining
Fine.
is we have the dogfight. We know there are mountains in the vicinity. You're dodging in and out among these peaks, and one of them has to hit a mountain, obviously. And the other one, I think, between you can see it's trailing smoke, and it kind of breaks off and it disappears into the distance, giving you a bearing on where the base is. Does that seem fair?
Sure.
Okay. And then I'm not even going to ask how the Fortune Flyer docks back with
Skyhook. You know?
We don't need to worry about that.
No, exactly.
You have not played enough Crimson Skies, clearly.
we simply cut to you
Muted
getting
version,
out of the cockpit, back on board the Zeppelin.
Yeah, pull
obviously.
the lever so the balloon, the blimp just folds into the thing. You're muted,
Sorry,
Brandon.
Brandon, you are muted. You are muted.
Sorry, I could see someone on the movie script just penciling out that whole bit and says,
okay.
Cut to Zeppelin. It's just like, we don't need to explain all that.
No.
Get to the good part.
And so you have escaped the Nazi fighters, and now will be heading presumably on that. And look, I see you round a table with a big map. And there's somebody's drawing a line that says, yeah, so it's here we are, that's the way they headed, and there's only one settlement. It looks like a tiny small town in the middle of nowhere, on that heading. So is that where you're going?
I mean,
go to the town and
the
ask
only
if
other
they
place.
know of any weird bases around,
Of course.
Well, no, I mean, we obviously have to go there, but of course, but first we have to get camels.
We've got a car.
No, this is Mongolia. We have to have Bactrian camels.
No, I definitely want his cherry to be souped up with
fine.
4x4. If Rocky's got the signature car, we need to use his signature.
We cut past the police chase on the understanding that I was going to bring the car in the Zeppelin to Mongolia.
I can see the camel in the background.
I'll get on a camel with it.
There have to be camels in the background then.
Well, let's leave that to after our commercial break. It is just before the hour now. Can I suggest we're back in our seats at 10 past the hour because I need to make a cup of tea.
Yeah, that works.
And I will see you in about 10 minutes, and I'll pause the recording.
Cool.
And we're back from our break. So we have a map, we have a line, and that's the way. That's the only thing out here that isn't just open, high plains, cold desert. So I'm going to ask Misfortune again, because this is your airship after all. Where are you going to put it down? Are you going to put it down some distance away from this settlement and then use
we've got it.
Pickup?
We've already got it parked by that cliff. Just pull the big tarp over it.
And leave it there.
Yeah.
Okay. So in the foothills of the mountains, we now have the Zeppelin parked. Rocky, describe how we see the cherry red pickup.
Yeah, well, it is a lovingly maintained car. You can see it over in our NPCs tab at the very top. Just a shiny, souped up Dodge pickup and the headlights kind of like blink on cheerily as the says Rocky. Rocky turns the key and says, "All right, everybody, climb aboard."
Yeah, the one difference I want to make is that see that nice shiny bar connecting the headlights. I think it should go that way, so it
to
looks
be more
like
of a
it's
smile.
smiling.
There we go.
And so it seems to me there's room for 2 people inside and 2 people outside. So clearly Rocky is driving. And it just seems to me that if you have a cape, Misfortune, there has to be an opportunity for you to stand at the back with the cape flowing. So Rosy, is this ladies first for the seat inside the cab, or do you give that up to Alan Dark?
I give that up to Alan Dark.
Oh, well, I'll insist that
You'll insist.
that you ride in comfort. Yes.
Okay, well then I will volunteer it, and then I will say I would hate for your suit to get dirty, Mister. Oh well, if you.
Oh well,
insist.
no, yes, well, he's changed.
I'm the wasting everybody.
He's changed into khakis.
Yeah.
Well, then
Ooh.
I'll take the front seat.
Oh,
yes.
does he do like a cape spin and then suddenly he's in khakis?
It's would you hold up this end of this of this blanket? Yes, very good. He steps behind it, and then when he steps out again, he's changed.
Right. And presumably, warm clothing and scarves, apart from Miss Midnight, because whatever she wears, she's warm enough. Misfortune, I'm sorry. It's Midnight and Fortune. I'm really struggling.
I've got the winter costume that they would eventually sell as the toys, where it's like fur trim cloak and cape. And...
Yeah. So Rocky, how does it get out? I'm curious how it gets out of the Zeppelin.
There's a little like gangplank built for it.
Down the ramp and off.
Yeah, exactly.
And down, I think I see you probably, because even if it's cold, it's still going to be a dusty desert setting. So I think we see the trail of dust as you're heading across this flat open plain. Yeah.
Mm. And who ended up sitting next to me after that back and forth? Is it Rosy?
Misfortune did. Misfortune.
Misfortune
stepped in while we were being polite. Yeah.
So Rosy, you're in the back now, and I'm wondering how do you stop your hair just blowing everywhere?
Oh, I've got the full like kaftan, like the scarf wrapped around, very like at home out here in the field.
Okay, and we see Mr. Dark is kind of holding his khaki fedora on, and. Yes. You're streaking across the desert. Cherry is eating up the miles. And then on the horizon, you'll see this isolated settlement. It looks like, just huts. It doesn't look like anybody from outside has built anything here. So, Rocky, what's the plan of approach?
Yeah.
Do we want to have like scenes with each other in the front and the back?
Well, I that's a good question. Is there anyone who wants to have a scene to do a bit?
I have 2 spark. That's why I'm asking. So.
Okay, yeah. I'm sorry. I should have allowed you that earlier.
I'll just say Rocky's navigating towards whatever seems like the center of town, but I am happy for folks to share some questions along the way here.
So, Misfortune, what do we see in the front seat?
So let's see. I got to look down the refreshing spark, getting to know folks who matter questions. So you brought Cherry out here? Isn't that a bit of a risk? I mean, you put a lot of time into this truck. We might not make it back, or I mean, the plane might not make it back.
Oh, we'll make it back. Don't you worry. That's why Cherry's here. She's gonna watch out for all of us. She loves America too. Not gonna let those Nazis steal secrets from the Department of Defense.
Oh, of course, of course. So, let's see.
Because that
I
sounded
guess-
like quite a routine question.
I guess I was trying to I had a question in mind, but I don't know if it fits any of these questions.
We'll ask the
So-
question and we'll
like,
adjudicate.
So, Rocky, I notice you keep asking me probing questions as if you're trying to get a bit more. Do you really think that's wise, considering of me to answer these questions? I mean, you've got a family that could be threatened, and if you knew my identity and your family was threatened because somebody knew that you knew my identity, do you really think you'd be able to hold up?
Yeah, that is a probing question. Yeah, Rocky like thinks for a minute on that. Maybe pulls out a piece of beef jerky just to like chew and ruminate. And he says, obviously, you've got to decide who you trust, Misfortune. But we've worked together. We've helped save New Gauntlet City together, punch back rising tide of fascism. So I would have thought that maybe you would trust me.
Well, I think you should just embrace a mask. Make all of our lives easier.
And hide this handsome mug?
Oh, yeah.
He grins.
Now, just so I can adjudicate that, that sounded as though you were probing at their greatest fear.
I
Was that
guess,
what- Yeah.
Sure.
Like
I said, I didn't know if one of those questions fit for what I was planning.
Well, let's start there and work our way down. So, Rocky, that was implying your greatest fear is around the vulnerability of our family. Is that something that you want to commit to, or do you want to notch it down to a question about your awesome life?
That's good. It's obviously it's classic. I noticed that Misfortune's greatest fear is exposure and risk to family. Also, I think his greatest fear is letting down his family.
Okay.
Right. Okay. So I think I'll just to add to that, I'll say, look, Misfortune, you don't know my Molly. You don't know little Tommy and Rosie. I could never forgive myself if I didn't do everything in my power to fight for America, because they're counting on me.
Okay.
What I've put in the tab is letting down his family, ... and America.
Yeah, that's about right.
His greatest fear. Okay.
And Cherry.
So having extracted his greatest fear, you get 4 spark, Misfortune. What about the conversation in the back of the truck? As you know, the dust and the wind, I guess you're kind of, there's probably a rumble seat, isn't there, to get a little bit of cover from the cab as you're making your way across. So what's the nature of the conversation in the back of the truck, Alan?
Well, some of it's casual, and then Alan goes, "You're playing a dangerous game, aren't you, Miss Strand?"
What a dangerous game. I'm doing my job, Mr. Dark.
Please, there's no need to play the ingenue with me. I'm not one of your, I'm not a politician you have to butter up.
I never, ever would insult you by calling you a politician. Alan, you're a close friend and a real ally. It is a dangerous game, but it's a dangerous world, and I'm here to shine a light on that.
Yes, but in your situation, I would have someone or something to protect myself, to be a countervailing force against the many people who, frankly, might seek to do you harm, given your exposés in the past. Every time a gangland figure finishes his jail sentence, you're at risk, and I know that you must have some means of preventing some gunsel from taking a shot at you every time you leave your apartment.
Is this a question about their greatest fear? Perhaps?
It could be about your greatest fear, or it could simply be about something very, something important, and something information you have on people, the fact that you actually pack a 45 in your purse. Whatever, you can go anywhere you want with this. Or maybe you don't have anything and you're just relying on sheer pluck, and that is, you're hoping that never runs out.
Yeah, you know what I'm going to say is that Rosy says, oh, Alan, I ain't worried about no one taking a shot at me. That's just another story, right? It would come to me. This work is always going to be dangerous. The only thing I'm worried about is that they're going to get away with it. You understand? People won't know.
I quite understand your motivations, but this is with your permission.
Yeah.
Who's your father, really?
My father is, well, you may know him as, what's the name of that horrible douchebaggy American who was a eugenicist and thingy? I've forgotten his name. Davenport, something like that.
Sure.
Yeah. It's my father's name is Russ Davenport. You may have heard of him. He is a leader of the Reform Party over there, local elections. Real big on following the German way and making a strong nation and not getting dragged into another one of those international conflicts that we just came out of. Always one to bury what he doesn't like to see.
Yes. And
luckily, my office, I spend more time with my office family than with his now.
Of course. But for all his faults, also someone who would never take a serious threat to his daughter lightly. Isn't that true?
Yeah, he always looks after the things he thinks he owns.
Well, we can't help our family. But
and what about you? What about your your gal Friday? Missing her? And I'd like to just use that as an opportunity to ask you a routine question about your normal life, perhaps.
Myra? Well, she's a sweet girl. There's to answer the obvious question, there's nothing going on between us. I imagine that she'll find some fine young man one day, and I'll have to find another assistant. Regrettable though that day will be. In the meantime, she's everything I could ask for in a helper.
Yeah, I think riffing off what Alexis said, Rosy smiles and says, "Yeah, everything anyone could ask for, huh?"
So it was clear to me that was a routine question about their normal life. So Rosy gets one spark. Were we in greatest fear country in terms of Alan's questions to Rosy? And if so, how are you going to phrase that? Or was this more about a more intimate question about your normal life, or what?
I would put it as greatest fear in that Rosie's saying that she's not worried about her life or harm to those who love her because she hates her dad and her husband is off abroad.
Right. So she has a her connection with her father is sounds like
yeah, you
that
know,
she might be afraid of being labeled, as
That's what I'm curious about, because I'm trying to
Yeah, yeah.
operationalize that.
Well,
as
my
a
operation
follower.
would be either not having the story or being made into, not being respected for her thing, losing her position, losing her role. Greatest fear is not getting the story, essentially. Something which her father insisted that she was unsuitable for.
Right. Losing her independence. Yeah, it sounds like a part of it too.
Okay.
Just all framed out that ace reporter identity. Yeah.
Okay. So thank you for pausing me there before I got wrapped up in the plot. Let me go back to Rocky and say that you, Miss Midnight, in the front. Miss Midnight has the map on, Misfortune. I'm sorry, I cannot get that out of my head. Misfortune is in the front with the map. And a compass, just keep it, because there's no road, just keeping you on a bearing. And then we see these, low indigenous buildings. I have no idea what they would be built out of. We don't have a forest, so it's not wood.
Can they be yurts? Can they be made out of poles and goat fur?
Yeah, they could be yurts. So you can see this cluster of yurts. Rocky, what's your approach?
Yeah, I'll pull up in front of the biggest yurt and like tootle the horn cheerily to see if anyone wants to come out and and parley.
I think what I would be quite interested in having is, as you approach the middle of this cluster of perhaps several dozen yurts, with pens, with horses and Bactrian camels in the vicinity, grazing away, you will see a Rolls-Royce parked in the middle of the settlement before you get up close and personal. Rocky, what's your reaction?
Yeah, he'll say, fiddlesticks, and like,
I mean, it's nice, I understand, but Cherry's pretty nice. You don't have to be jealous about the rolls.
And like, Rocky's like, just gripping the steering wheel, tighter, and like pulls the car up so that it just barely doesn't ding the rolls on like the back bumper as he brings Cherry to a stop.
Are you inclined to examine the rolls or just take it as a piece of the scenery, Rocky?
Oh, it's obviously Hubert Hobson's is the thing, right? Like Rocky would recognize that car anywhere.
It's got an HH on the
yeah,
on top of the Jaguar,
because it looks like a Rolls, but it's actually bespoke built, and indeed the winged front of the Rolls is emblazoned with HH. And
all the yurts, all the planes, he'd have to turn up here.
Rosy, what's your reaction now that you're in town?
I get out and I start speaking in broken Mongolian from the Mongolian Chinese restaurant down in Gauntlet City's Chinatown that I've picked up. Hi, I try and speak to some kids. I try and point at the Rolls Royce, like, oh, that's a fancy car,
I think that questioning the locals, I think in a language that we've just discovered you speak, I think that's a remarkable feat. I'm looking for 4 successes in order to get more than kind of hello and how are you.
Okay, so
build your dice pool.
Draw 3. it is being awesome, right? 4 plus 2 more for Ace Reporter. So we are at 6. And then I will spend 2 spark as well.
You get 8.
8, yeah.
Looking for 4
Yes.
successes.
Well, yeah. Gives me a 50-50 chance, right? No, you know what? In fact, I'll spend 3 and I'll boost that to a greater than 50-50 chance. So that is 9.
And we should always ask if there's anything anyone wants to or could offer. I mean, Spark's not that
Yes.
richly available, but
I can.
Okay.
I will. I will squat down behind her, beside her, and I don't speak the language, but these are children, and so I will produce candies from their ears and and their chins and things like that.
fine, that gets everyone's attention. And so Rosy has a rich pool to draw on. So
Okay.
you spend a spark. Rosy, you are rolling now. I've lost count. You tell me.
10 d6.
10. 10, looking for 4.
Oof, 2 oofs as well.
So that costs you 2 spark, and that is only 2 successes. That's wow, only 2 pows. So they eat the chocolate, the candies, but they look blankly at you.
Yeah, it turns out all I know how to ask is 2 egg rolls and
Yeah.
stew.
Sadly,
they take me to a food store rather than to the anything I need.
They offer you.
Given that your 2 successes were 6s, I think the bonus should be that they do bring you egg rolls, but they don't give you the information that you wanted.
yes, yeah.
They bring you
there's much
some,
kind of,
some
yes.
dubious meat on sticks.
And they deliver food to you. No, that's brilliant. Thank you, Alexi, for that one. What about you, Misfortune?
Oh, I'm putting on some, like, it's very cold, so I'm putting on some like nice goggles and wrapping up a scarf, because like I don't want like people just like, what is that? Nah, it's just a very cold lady bundling up.
Okay. And then Rocky, you've identified the Hobbsmobile, and it's parked outside this large. It looks like this is the kind of permanent bit, and maybe people come and go carrying their yurts with them as they move pastures. But this looks like it's the fixed part of this settlement.
Yeah, I'm fixing to walk into the yurt and just learn what's up. I guess my only question is, are any of the children interested in my car now that it's pulled up?
Oh yeah.
I'll take a moment and like turn to whichever of these kids looks most interested, and like look around, and then like conspiratorially pull out a tiny model of Cherry and like set it down on the ground in front of this kid. Yeah. And I'd love, if you feel it's appropriate, to roll be plain old nice to people from the refreshing spark options.
Absolutely. I love a player who checks out the rules. You are being plain old nice to people. If during the course of the episode you go out of your way to do something nice for an ordinary person in the scene, roll be normal plus heart versus 2. Nothing has put them on their guard, so difficulty is 2. I'm looking for 2 successes. Be normal plus heart.
That's great. Yeah. That's 5. And can I have my inventor bonus for it?
I am very happy for you to have your inventor bonus, because you showed them how to wind it up using your super spring.
Of course, absolutely. Well, that's 2 successes.
That was pretty close. And I must have a rule that says you never get any oofs when you're being nice to people.
Well,
So
it's a be normal. So yeah,
it's a be normal. So you get 2 successes. That is +1 spark per pow. So gain 2 spark.
Nice. And if it had been a failure, they would have complicated stuff now or later.
Indeed.
but instead they are just, it seems, enchanted by the toy, and that buoys Rocky a little bit as he's then ready to head into this yurt and see what awaits him.
Okay, so let's have you go through the door. The yurts have doors. This is a substantial permanent yurt, so it has a door.
Yeah, that might be like a reed curtain or something, and pull it aside, step in.
And there at a table, talking to a number of locals, in, of course, perfect Mongolian, is your nemesis, whom I will find in a moment.
He's in episode. I don't think he made it to. Oh, I see. There's a picture of him.
It has to be him, really, doesn't it? Belloc from Indiana Jones. But Hubert is speaking with these people, and is always accompanied by his brawny chauffeur and bodyguard, Ernest. What do you do?
I'll like clear my throat, take off my I'll probably put on like a bomber hat for driving the truck into the town. I'll take it off as a gesture of respect, and I'll say, Hubert, Ernest, fancy running into you here.
And his eyebrow goes up sardonically. He says, my dear Rockwell, what on earth are you doing here?
Just on a little mission for America.
Oh, not another one of those patriotic missteps.
Well, it's actually pretty important. There's a German doctor that kind of look. Would you be a friend and ask the folks here if there's been anything suspicious happening nearby recently?
And suspicious? Do tell.
Well, they would be the ones who need to tell. It sounds like you can. Sounds like you're pretty fluent in the language.
Of course, it's one of the many languages I speak. A classical education is so useful in the world, don't you find, Rockwell?
He just like mutters something indistinct under his breath.
But I think you're going to have to convince him, I think, to be at all interested in helping you.
Does anyone want to help me with this? Because jaw is my lowest stat.
Yeah, you have what in the trade is called a glass jaw.
Yes, I could.
So who is coming in? Let's go to Alan Dark.
Yes.
How do you step into this, Alan?
Well, I say to Rocky out loud. I was just wondering if Mr. Hobson is a sporting man.
Yeah. I think the eyebrow goes up even further.
Oh, he wouldn't
wager.
He wouldn't be interested in something like that in the middle of something important like this.
Well, I don't know. I see the vast. I see the vast plains of Mongolia, and the first thing that comes to mind is racetrack.
I don't know. Tooling around in our respective, lovingly maintained vehicles seems like a bit of a distraction. But he's definitely looking at Hubert to gauge how he's taking it.
Oh, I think Hubert says something like, "Yes, I don't think we've met, but I'm sure Rockwell knows when he's beaten before he starts."
Now hold on a second. As he raises his voice, he then pauses and tries to make a placating gesture towards the locals whose language he doesn't speak, so that they know he's not angry at them.
So I think it is appropriate to see what exactly the nature of the wager. I think clearly Hobson would be prepared, because he's an arrogant bastard, isn't he? He knows that or he believes he can always thwart the commoner, Rocky Rockwell. So how do you get him to commit something worthwhile here, Alan?
Well, the question here, obviously, the stakes that we would desire him to wager is his assistance in this matter, and a profound apology. So what was Rocky willing to throw into the mix? And I say, well, and of course, if should somehow good old American know-how fail to prevail, I'm sure Mr. Rockwell would be willing to.
And I'm looking back at you.
And
I'm like,
and I think that
not the car.
I think Hubert is thinking, aha. So let's see if you can convince him to take these terms, Alan.
Yes.
I think this is undoubtedly jaw.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not seeing the mesmerism and I'm seeing hustler working here.
Yes, absolutely.
So it's sounding like a hustler being normal rather than a mesmerist being awesome, unless you want to.
Did you already do the fraternizing with the villain?
Aha.
Oh, I forgot about fraternizing with the villain.
Because this feels very much like fraternizing with a villain to me.
Fraternizing with an NPC who then becomes a villain. So what are we thinking, Alan? Is this sitting down over a drink with Hubert and just shooting the breeze?
Well, let's see. I have to give away a valuable secret.
Aha. And frankly, the only one I'm interested in is him knowing why you're here.
Right. Well, of course I'm going to do it. This is a show. Yes. Yes. So we'll break out the whiskey, or the brandy. Actually, I have a bottle of brandy. Heaven knows.
Of course, it's in that suitcase in Cherry, along with anything else you would need.
Yes. I had my mini steamer trunk. Can
I just ask, before I get into the detail of this, is Miss Fortune in the yurt, or is Miss Fortune doing something else?
I think it's she's probably outside, just walking around the little settlement, keeping an eye out for things.
So you would have warning if something were to appear on the horizon. And
Sure. Also, like, I don't know, she doesn't want to like take all of her unbundle inside the presumed warmth of the yurt. I'm like, why is this masked lady here?
Fine. Rosie, what about you? Inside the yurt, outside the yurt?
I was hoping to go out of my way to do something nice for any ordinary person in the scene, for the children, perhaps, to play with my camera, perhaps even we will obviously be watching this race when it occurs, but that's all I'm really angling for. I
think that's fine. So I think we have to see Miss Midnight surely perched on something. So Miss Fortune, I cannot get it right. I cannot get it right. It's now like every time I say it.
It's my fault. This is my fault. I mean, it's my fault for taking it.
Should Miss Fortune take a spark every time you get it wrong?
like a cuss jar.
Give me a spark back. Yeah.
I will just beat my head against the wall until I get this right. So, Miss Fortune, I think we have to see you in. Well, I'm seeing this kind of slightly lonely silhouette on the edge of the settlement, just scanning the horizon. Is that what we're seeing?
Sure. Yeah, I can't think. I mean, we could bring in Gwendolyn Watson.
Well, You know, leave that one with me for a moment then. Rosy, we'll scan back from this figure scanning the horizon to Rosy Strand and the children around the cars, and then back inside where drink is being taken. And then I don't think it's going to be difficult, because I think Hobson is an arrogant bastard. So I think to get him to ante up something worthwhile here would certainly not be difficult. But let's deal with your fraternization first.
Yes.
So if during the course of an episode you take or make an opportunity to fraternize with a villain or a named NPC that this will define as a villain from now on, say what form the fraternization takes and what valuable secret you give away. And then you get
so the form the fraternization takes is a conversation over drinks about goals and, you know, the purpose of life, and, you know, getting him to spill as much as I'm giving him, you know, about I mean, I know something about him, but through Rocky's occasional rants, but the you know, why he's here, among other things.
Okay, so we now know that he knows why you're here looking for Professor Haas, and whatever secret he's got. So you get 4 spark, and that defines Hobson not just as Rocky's old nemesis, but now as a villain.
Right, because I find out that he's here for a nefarious purpose.
Well, let's find out what you do find out. I think you can certainly, if you want to milk him for information, I think that's going to be a remarkable. So I'm looking for 4 successes for that.
Okay, I'm going to help by using a trick, which is that I'm going to gaze into his eyes during this conversation at the point at which I ask the crucial question. You can tell a great deal about someone's pupillary reactions, whether they're lying or telling the truth.
Oh, very good. And
As a
guide the
mesmerist
conversation.
Trick. But this is a mesmerist trick.
It is. So I think you are hustling him. You get 1. I think you are being awesome because you've just engaged with mesmerism. That gets you 3 plus the 2 bonus for mesmerism. And I think this is jaw.
So that's
so
a base.
I think you're at 9.
At 9, and I need.
You need 4 successes.
So I'll spend a spark for you because I think, you know, it's a real wrench for Rocky to agree with great reluctance and under great persuasion to put his car on the line here as, you know, the stakes of this wager.
Fine. But let's see what you have found out, Alan, getting to the point of the race.
Okay, I have 5 successes with 2 6s and 2 oofs.
So
let me mark down the oofs.
Yes, please. So that costs you 2 spark, but you have success. And it turns out that he is here with a friend called Zara Haas. He is here with Zara Haas, a former girlfriend of his. And he thought he was coming on a romantic getaway holiday. But it turns out that they're doing something out there in the desert. They're digging a really big hole. Okay, that's your basic success. You got some 6s in there. So what do you want as your added?
Let's see. Anything about where they are, or what they're looking for.
Okay. He thinks it's poppycock. Apparently, they claim that they're digging, and you'll find this hilarious, my dear fellow. They're digging at what they say is the most powerful intersection of ley lines on the planet.
No.
Indeed.
I
It's
share
hilarious.
a chuckle with him over the preposterousness of anyone believing in this centuries old hokum.
But he is very interested in wagering his car for your car. Is Rocky up for that?
As long as that means he'll take us to to the hole in the desert if we can best him with.
If you could best him, he'll have no way to get there other than in a car of yours. So it's win-win.
There we go.
I suppose
Rocky puts a hand on Cherry and says, "All right, girl, this is it. I don't want this to be goodbye. So you and me, we gotta win the day for America."
Always for America. Misfortune, do you want to before the race starts? Let's have you encounter Gwendolyn, I think. And I think as you're looking at the horizon, you will see a dust, a little cloud of dust, and gradually out of the distance, there resolves a kind of wavering figure, and it gets closer and closer. It resolves to someone on a camel.
Yeah, that's right, on a camel.
The only way to travel around here is on a camel.
Some people have horses.
And it stops, and there's a reflection, and you know that someone is scanning you with binoculars.
All right, well,
and then the camel.
Pull out my own.
Yeah. And they
if I recognize them, I'll do like the little mirror signals.
Indeed, you recognize this. What is Gwendolyn's trademark? That even at this distance, through binoculars on a camel, you know it's her.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, I think she's just got like bright, fiery scarlet red hair.
And there is no one with that much hair. And as it begins to trot before you, this flames up behind, almost like a cape, as she approaches. And you can see that she veers off so as to encounter you. There's a little kind of wadi, a little kind of dry riverbed just outside, and you can see she's heading for that, and presumably that's where you will go to speak to her.
Yep.
And she, the camel kind of gets down on its knees the way it's supposed to, and she steps elegantly from it and rushes up and embraces you. My dear Fortune.
Gwendolyn, darling, it's been ever so long.
Too long, far too long. What
Work
brings
keeping you busy?
Indeed. The threat never goes away, does it?
No, of course not. I've encountered some of the threat already today.
Indeed?
Mm-hmm.
Do tell.
Oh, we had a little air battle on the way here.
Aha! Now I understand. I've been observing the Nazis. They're digging a bloody big hole out there, and I've been keeping an eye on them, obviously. And before I go back home with my report, I noticed that 2 aeroplanes went off this morning, and only 1 came back.
Mm-hmm.
Can I presume that's down to you?
Oh, well, I don't. I prefer to be modest.
Modesty is wasted on the talented, my dear. Well, are you?
So what can you tell me? I mean, presumably you've been inside. What's the best way in?
It's difficult. You need. I went in at night. They're digging an enormous hole, and they appear to have erected some kind of stone circle in the center of it. Quite what they're planning to do, I frankly don't know. But it's serious.
Gwendolyn, I expected better of you. I mean, I thought you were the top agent in the OSS.
Well, let's have you roll for this conversation then, Miss Midnight. Miss Fortune.
Just give me another spark.
I'm going to give you a spark. You have a spark for that. I now have a swear box. So Misfortune, let's have you roll to talk her through this, because maybe you can extract more than she realizes she knows. Yeah?
Sure.
So I think jaw is what I'm looking at as the base.
No problem. No problem.
It doesn't feel like Masked Vigilante country particularly.
Fine.
But I think you are, you are.
I mean, we
her
only
friend.
know each other as Masked Vigilante.
Yeah, I know, but I think the action you're embarked
Yeah,
upon.
that's true. It's true.
So I think you are. I think you engage with friend. I think you're being normal, and I think you're using jaw. So I think you've got 4 successes. I think I'm 4 to
Dice.
roll. I think I'm looking for a good success, which requires 3 successes.
So I'll spend 3 spark.
Oh, so that's 7 rolling for 3 successes. I don't think I can legitimately ask anyone else to help
No,
you
it doesn't
out.
make any sense. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Well, that nails it.
No 6s.
No.
No 1s,
So
but also being normal. So
it's fine. What do you want to know?
I don't think
I'll give you 1 question for every one of those successes if you want that many.
Have you seen the disappeared family?
Ah, yes, I did. They flew in a day or 2 ago, just ahead of your arrival. Attractive looking woman, rather plain man, and an old fellow. They came in under a military escort. Good enough for that question?
Well, I mean, I was like, did they appear to be prisoners to your eye?
It struck me that they were keeping an eye on them, but they weren't manacled or anything like that.
Very interesting. Well, thank you, Gwen.
Anything else you want to know? This is in part to help to prompt me to think about what I've got to come up with. I'm being entirely mercenary here.
Or don't know. Well, it's been a pleasure running into you. We have to meet up again, perhaps. Well, we always end up in the thick of the action. So.
Yes, my dear. And until we do, you be careful out there. At which point she steps elegantly onto the back of the camel. It elegantly rises and it trots off into the distance. Yeah? Okay. Let's cut back to Cherry and the Hobbsmobile. Of course, there's now an enormous crowd. Who knew that this settlement held this many people? But it is certainly a big crowd. And it must be said, everyone under 10 is rooting for Cherry. And the boy that you give the model to, so, it's and all his friends. Yeah, this is the one. Are you going to be driving with a co-pilot, so to speak, or are you going to do this on your own, Rocky?
I mean, I'd better have someone along, right? Just in case, because presumably Hubert is bringing along Ernest.
Indeed.
So in case they're planning on any funny business, I better have someone backing me up.
I mean, as if they would. Is Hubert Hobson not a gentleman? And I think
gentleman.
So, are you gonna select a co-pilot, or are you gonna ask for volunteers?
I'll ask for volunteers. I guess Rosy was going to do something nice for people in town. Is that right?
She was.
Yes.
But,
yeah. Which I can view as being on the sidelines and maybe like letting one of the kids on my shoulders to watch the race or something. Like.
Yeah.
Well,
whatever you'd like. Does either of my other compatriots volunteer?
You're muted, Brandon.
Sorry, it's my bane. I want to say that I think I hit the support another Pope Hero trigger, since
Oh,
you
I think
asked
you did. I think you did.
to
That's very
notify
true.
that, right? So that I'm going to bump my my awesomeness up a point.
Fine. Ooh, big awesome.
Yes. Well, you know, gotta make sure that gotta put on the show. So I'm happy to help out, but perhaps.
I mean, I'll be honest with you, given that you're sitting on the next highest number of spark,
Yes.
that's probably a good choice at this point. I think as we see you getting into the vehicles, that would seem to me like a good place for the next 5-minute break.
That works.
Yeah. Okay. See you in 5.
Erase me, impinge,
Yeah.
smack on the finale.
So we have Rocky climbing into the driving seat of Cherry. We have Alan Dark getting in beside him to act as his co-driver. We have Rosy surrounded by a bunch of the kids who've been playing with the camera and all of that. Misfortune, you're coming back to see to the center of the village now that Gwendolyn has made her way off.
Sure. I mean, it makes sense to get back with the group.
Okay.
So, are there is this a playtest? Should I have playtesting questions? I don't. I don't.
No, it's not serious enough to be a playtest.
Okay.
Alexi, we're just saying that Rocky's in the driving seat. We've got Alan Dark. We've got Misfortune back with Rosy at the edge of the village where this huge crowd has appeared to see you race off into the distance. And the villagers, you can see camel riders have gone off in different directions to mark out a course. And so hit it. Let's start with then. I'm going to run this as a 3-step contest, I think.
All right. Who's gonna fire the starting pistol is the question.
Oh, well, Misfortune is well equipped to do that thing.
Works for me, yeah.
So we see Hobbs grinning across at you. Because of course his driving seat is on the other side of the car from yours, so you are always going to be up close and personal. None of this looking across Ernest to see you, and Misfortune, bang, and they're off. So on the outward part of this, let's say that the difficulty at this point I think is 3.
Okay.
Because I've got complete confidence in Cherry.
Cherry's great. Yeah. And I think Rocky pulls out from his pocket a little picture of his family and puts it on the dashboard, to say I won't let you down, and guns it, right? This is a straightaway at first, so it's just about pedal to the metal here, show what this girl can do. Alan, you're muted.
Sorry, thanks for that. So let's have you engage with a difficulty of 3, I think, for the opening length of this, because you are quick off the mark. Yours a much lighter vehicle, so I think difficulty at this point is 3. Construct your dice pool for me.
Is this be normal or be awesome? It's hard to tell.
Which one do you want it to be? Because I think you are just driving, but then
all right.
This is your invention. I don't know. I'll go whichever way.
Start with be normal, because that's the because that's the one I've got more dice in.
So let's go 3.
And it's either feet or tools to hit, to do pedal to the metal in the car.
Tool, I think. This is all about the car. That's at 6.
All right. Inventor.
So you are going to go awesome.
Okay, so I can only engage Inventor if
You're
if
being awesome. Yeah.
I'm being awesome. I mean, then it's a wash, right? Because be normal is 3 and be awesome is 1 plus 2 from Inventor.
Exactly.
Okay.
The risk of being awesome is that it puts your spark at risk.
Let's keep it normal for now, and go awesome later if circumstances demand it. So what was I at? Sorry.
I think you're at 6 right now.
For a difficulty 3.
For a difficulty of 3.
I'll toss in 2 spark, so I'm at 8. Mr. Midnight, you got anything, or you want to save it for what sounds like probably greater difficulty to come?
Yes, absolutely. No, let's see how you're doing.
All right. That's 8 with a 3 difficulty.
All right, I'm gonna submit this. 8 dice.
Oof.
Easy. 3 6s in there.
Oh wow! And just share. Well, you tell me. What does this look like on screen?
Yeah, like Hubert, is looking over, arching a supercilious eyebrow, right? And I'm just like, wipe that smirk off your face, just slam the pedal down, and boom, it's a red streak across the desert.
And the Hobbsmobile takes, bigger car. The 6 wheels take quite a lot of time to really engage. So at the first marker, Cherry is ahead, and I'm going to put you a long way ahead because of all those 6s. So I think I was going to increase the
actually from the 6s. I'd love to. I think the bonus I'd love is like whatever subterfuge or skullduggery that Hubert has planned. I'd love to like see it coming, basically.
Okay. And I think what you will see is the back of the thing opens up, and you can see that he's got some kind of launcher in the back of this. And arcing over the top of you is a kind of I think it probably cast caltrops.
Oh no.
Yeah. But you can see it coming, and how do we see you avoid it? Because that's what you do.
Yeah, I'm like, can't trick me with that again, Hubert. And I press the button that causes like little basically the wheels, the suspension gets all spring loaded so that the car can do little hops to like hop over the caltrops in the way. Yeah.
Okay. So difficulty now is 4 because now the Hobbsmobile, all its power is engaged, and your lightness and acceleration is no longer counting for you. So your difficulty is 4. What are you going to do?
And this difficulty to like maintain my lead and avoid the traps.
Yes.
Yeah. Cool. Pulling a pool together here. I guess this is be awesome since we've got the crazy gadgets engaged. But with Inventor in the mix, plus tools, that's still a 6. I'll put in 2 spark and get it to 8. Anything, Mr. Midnight, for the for this phase as they're revealing some of what they've got up their sleeves.
So with the caltrops, how much your dice are you rolling at this point?
I got up to 8.
And you're needing a 4?
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure you've got run flats, right?
Say again?
I'm sure, worst case, you have run flats on Cherry.
No, you've got past the caltrops. This is now to stay ahead.
Oh, this is to stay ahead. Well, if they're engaging in skullduggery, then we can too, right? Fair is fair.
I feel like Rocky, would not like condone that, but he might turn a blind eye.
What he doesn't know.
Okay, well, this is completely unnecessary. so I'm going to do it, which is that I'm going to reach into my sleeve and I'm going to produce a flock of doves. right in front of them. So they have a bunch of birds flying straight at their windshield and probably leaving trademarks.
So how many spark are you spending on that?
I'll spend 2.
Okay, so I think that's 10 looking for 4, if I've got that right.
I think so. Let's do this. Rolling the 10. And okay, yeah. That's 5 successes, but 5 POWs, including 2 6s, but also 2 oofs in there.
Right. So it, you can feel Cherry is kind of vibrating at this, on this surface. And clearly the spongy, you engaged the spongy, hopping suspension earlier, and it's just running a little bit oddly. So Mark 2 spark.
Yeah, I think we even see like a a hubcap fly off, right? Or the car gets like dinged as we round a rock, and Rocky's like, "Come on, girl, keep it together."
And though you are now obviously a mile or so away, we will of course see the boy who you gave the model to. The hubcap will roll up to her, yay! So you have maintained your advantage. And do you want to extend the advantage, or do you want to get round a tricky ploy?
Don't forget with the birds decorated his car.
Yes, yeah. Birds have decorated that Rolls Royce. I mean, I think with the 2 6s, I'd love to just to push ahead, right? And even if he gains on me, I'd love to just have enough of the lead to pull down the finish line unless there's another thing that needs to happen here.
No, I think that I'm satisfied with those 6s. You streak past the crowd to roars of pleasure from the crowd, and I think that I'm going to cut straight to both cars, with Ernest in the back of one and Hubert in the back of the other one, with 2 of you in each car, as he gives you directions how to find this hole in the desert.
Nice.
And I think it is going to be dusk as you approach. Yeah, you've neutralized Hubert and Ernest. They will stay tied up in the car for now. And you come to this, and I guess that what I want to do is to cut to you. You park the cars and you're walking up to the edge of this great depression, which it actually looks like it might be a natural depression now that you've got there. The construction works have been to erect 8 great stones around the center of it, about 30 yards down. Misfortune, what do you do?
I'm sorry, what, could you repeat that?
So it's
natural depression.
8 stones at the center. It's about 60 feet deep and probably 100 yards across, this depression. And it's swarming with Nazis.
All right. Well, I mean, we need to get in position to strike, I guess. I mean, obviously we also, hey, the houses are here. They were not manacled. I'm letting everyone know. So, but they were escorted. So, I'm still unsure about them.
One of them's got to be in on this.
I think the doctor's on the level.
Does that seem reasonable?
We had a chat about blueprints. He seemed all right to me, but I don't know if we can trust his kids.
And down there next to the ring, the stone ring, are a couple of kind of Nissen huts, as well as, you know, dozens of Nazi soldiers, and a lot of kind of arc lights and generators are going down there. So, Misfortune, are you looking for the Haases?
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking for, I guess, the hub, the command hub, seeing who's in charge, who's calling the shots. And then also, I mean, we're here to stop the Nazis, but also weren't we rescuing people? I'm not sure anymore if we're rescuing anyone.
You are supposed to save Professor Haas, assuming that he's not a bad guy. In terms of who's in charge, you will spot a senior German officer. I never knew that Ian McKellen played a Nazi, but there you go.
Oh, yeah.
So Ian McKellen is in charge.
It's like his big break in America, at least.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was apt pupil.
Yeah.
And then he went on to play Magneto, which was funny.
So you have a senior German officer, but also a bizarre figure, because I just can't resist it, because there has to be an occult component to this. This could be Hellboy's Rasputin. I couldn't possibly comment. And also, standing with the pair of them is Zara Haas in a German uniform. What's Misfortune's reaction to that?
Oh, I mean, she gets the angry eyes as her heart hardens a little bit more every day. Learn to trust less.
Yeah. You cannot be in this vigilante business.
I'm like Stone Cold Steve Austin, DTA. Don't trust anybody.
So that's the setup. You've got troops, and I think probably you might see at a kind of a great kind of blueprint board in front of one of the huts. You will see Professor Haas and Leo looking nervous. And finally, there is a silver sphere in the middle of those stones. What do you do? What about Alan Dark? What's Alan Dark's response to this?
So there's the stones. There's a silver sphere in the middle of it. In the middle of them. Strange, and this strange figure. Well, obviously, I recognize this. You know, from my studies of. I mean, just because it's poppycock doesn't mean it's not.
Okay.
It's not something I read about, because I use this as trade, as I trade off of this as the part of the mystique of the the character of Mr. Midnight.
Let's engage with your esoteric knowledge. So I think this is head. I think it sounds like you're engaging with your mesmerism, that occult.
Yes.
Yeah. So I think you are being awesome, using your magician's knowledge of this. So I think, and your head is so three, 7, so 8, 9.
And what am I looking at?
I think you're looking at 3 successes.
All right. So I'll just roll them straight then. And I got 5 successes, no 6s with 1 oof.
1 oof, which will cost you a spark.
So yes,
as the dawning,
I rack my memories briefly for this obscure fact,
and
then I snap my fingers and I go, I've got it.
And the oof, I think, is the realization of what they're about to do. They intend to use the occult power of these ley lines to launch that obstacle in against America.
Oh my God.
It's an occult-driven rocket.
Yes.
What is it, Mr. Midnight?
Can we blow it up?
It's It's a mental missile.
A mentassel.
That sounds bad.
Yes, and it's aimed at America.
No. We
Yeah,
can't
it's
let
New
that
York,
happen.
I think.
New York,
Now,
Gauntlet City.
as
Oh,
you
New Gauntlet
focus
City,
in,
or maybe it's New Gauntlet City, perhaps, because that's the only city.
as you
Not the only
focus in on the pillars, we'll see the view through your binoculars. As one of the arc lights splutters on and illuminates a map of the United States with a large cross over New Gauntlet City.
If it was New York, we'd just be like, they can deal with it.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, at least they're not taking out Washington, D.C. I mean,
Yeah.
No, they're starting with the most important city, New Gauntlet City, heart of
Yeah,
America.
I mean,
Right,
Home of
right.
democracy.
They're thinking about which 99% of the wiki has been written about. And
So I think all of that would disappear in an alternative world where New Gauntlet City was obliterated in 1935.
they just have the best
Yes.
So
publishers.
Rosy, what are you going to do now? We've got the setup. We've got Zara Haas in a German uniform, Ian McKellen in charge, Rasputin carrying out the spell, and the professor and his son looking worried at a blueprint board.
I am going to slip in there and get photos of the blueprints.
Okay. So I'm going to do this at split screen, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So ping, top right, Rosy Strand, her flattened against the back of the of one of the Nissen huts. Yeah. Okay. Where do I see Rocky Rockwell?
So I propose I like haul Hubert out of the car, and I say, all right, time to hold up your end, pretend that you've captured me, and get me up close.
The edge of the arc lights, Hubert carrying an empty gun.
Yep.
Jammed into your back.
And
looking
I've
very nervous.
Got my hands up to make it look like I'm the one who's been captured here.
Zara, I found this chap in the village. Okay. Let's go to Mr. Midnight. What's in the third quarter of the screen?
well, whatever the move Miss Fortune is going to make, she's going to need.
Let me go to Miss Fortune first, then.
So I am sneaking. So yeah, I am sneaking about, and because a diversion will be needed. I just noticed.
Okay, so you are lurking in the shadows beyond the arc lights. Miss
And
Fortune.
I'm setting up something elaborate.
Oh, my goodness me! What could it be?
I've pulled out. It's it seems to be some long bit of fabric that's.
The bit of fabric that we foreshadowed all the way back in New Gauntlet City.
Yes, and it's silk, so it can be a huge amount of fabric packed into a small space.
Miss Fortune, what do we see in the fourth quarter of our screen?
I think it's like images of her leaping onto the silver thing to get like a good vantage point to strike from above.
So out of the darkness, cloak flying, we see her perch on the top of one of the stones and then leap.
Yep.
Yeah, and I think probably your arrival on this illuminated silver sphere is probably the sign for stuff to happen. So let me go back the other way and ask Mr. Midnight, what happens? Or are you not ready to do what you were going to do?
No, I'm absolutely ready. Because what this fabric is a projection screen, and a small, cunningly concealed projector, and it shows what should it be? Like the local soldiery are there, complete with sound effects, and somebody, calling out in Mongolian, death, death to the desecrators of our homeland.
So suddenly projected up on the side of this depression,
Right.
are Mongolian soldiers, moving pictures of Mongolian soldiers.
And sounds of of guns being fired. And
okay, let
then,
us see if you can pull off this phenomenal illusion. This is definitely hustling. I think you are obviously being awesome as far as I can see.
yes.
This is all about mesmerism, and I think it sounds like tools to me, I'm afraid.
Okay, no.
So you're
kind of everything.
I think difficulty is 4.
Okay. So this is really important. I'm going to throw 3 spark into it.
Oh, 11 dice looking for 4.
Because this better be good. And I got 6 successes with 3 6s on it. I mark off the 2 oofs.
You mark off the 2 oofs of spark, but yes, indeed, you have 6 pows, including 3 6s. And so chaos erupts, and Rocky and Misfortune, you're near the center of this, and suddenly there's gunfire from behind, and it's almost like I don't know whether Dark is throwing some things and they're just going off like firecrackers in the vicinity. Yes. And the troops are all looking that way now. So they're taking cover and they're firing up at these illusions on the wall of the crater. Let me go to Rocky first.
Yeah, as soon as the illusions are going off and chaos is starting to erupt, I'm like, I mutter to Hubert, "All right, you did your bit, now scram." And then I rush forward and say, "Hey, Sturmbannführer, this is for America!" And I punch the leading Nazi in the face.
Okay, let's see how Ian McKellen deals with this. So I think surprise is with you. I'm going to make this just 3 successes. I don't think, I think this is, you've got him on his own. His troops are busy. So go for it. Construct your dice pool.
So it's hands. It's bruiser. So that's 4. Is this being normal or being awesome?
I think it's being normal.
All right.
Because there's no inventory thing here, is there? Unless you've got some special device. I mean,
so the weird mechanical thing is it always the weird mechanical thing is it feels like it's
I've just noticed
it's purely for flavor
to be awesome.
Well, no, it's purely for flavor whether I'm normal or awesome, because I have 3 in normal, and then when I do awesome, I take 1 and then 2 more for inventorness.
Yeah. There's something wrong with that, but go with the flow. What do you want to do?
So maybe just for the fun of it, like a device deploys from my sleeve and like brass knuckles wrap around my hand as I'm punching, so I do get.
I thought you were going to use that big wrench, but okay.
I think that's 7, but I may have lost track.
3, yeah, that's 7, and I'll put in. And
I've only got 6 up, but I made 7.
And the
let's see, you've got
difficulty was
only 3.
Difficulty was 3. Yeah,
so you've got bruiser and.
Oh, don't worry. Roll 7 dice. It's that time in the afternoon.
Yeah, I'm gonna roll. I'm putting in a spark to roll 8, but yeah, this. And it worked. 4 successes, 2 6s, 2 oofs. So spark is rapidly depleting, but I'm doing a like this is for America, and this is for Molly, and this is for Rosie, and this is for Tommy, and this is for Cherry, right? And just just wailing on him.
They're like,
and then,
who's Tommy?
And then,
Yes, I never met a Tommy. Not since 1918 have I met a Tommy. So the two oofs. What is that? What does that look like? Does somebody come to his help and kind of grab hold of you and
yeah, two of the folks like right next to him are like trying to like haul me off, right? And like maybe like someone like thwacks me on the back of the head with like the butt of their pistol, and I just like elbow him in the face, and knock it. Like I'm sporting a big bruise back there, but I'm committed to doing this. And with the sixes, I'd love to just like haul the guy up bodily and like toss him through that board that had the like diagrams on it and whatnot, and to like destroy the data there.
Okay. And Rosy, you're round the back of the Nissen hut, and Ian McKellen has just landed on the kind of smashed the blueprint table. Professor Haas and Leo kind of scatter back away from that to where you can see them. Rosy, what do you do?
I yell out to the professor, Klaus, come on, we got to get out of here.
Let's see if in all this confusion you can convince him to just come.
Yeah.
Because I think he's worried. He's here for a reason. So I think you have to overcome his fear. I think the difficulty is going to be 4.
Okay. Klaus, you got to get out of here. The OSS. I've got an OSS contact. He can keep you safe.
Construct your dice pool.
Okay. I think this is being normal, to be honest.
I think it's being Daredevil.
Yes, it's being Daredevil because I'm. So that's a +1, right? To Daredevil. So that's 4.
You're not using your Ace Reporter kind of conviction here.
No, I think I'll just. I think this is a human contact instead. Fine. So 7. If I add my jaw to it, that's 7, and then I will add. How much am I trying to beat on this one? 4.
I think that this is 4.
This is 4. Okay. I will add 2 of my spark.
So now you're rolling 9. You're looking for 4 pows.
My luck on the dice rolling has not been great today. I lost 2 characters in Escape for Dino Island as well. Oh, but this one is a success, a resounding success. I even get one advantage. Even.
And you've got 6. So what would you like Klaus Haas to do before he scurries with Leo to where you are?
He grabs the blueprints.
Of course he grabs the blueprints. Yeah. He scrabbles them up and under his arm, and he's running around the back of the Nissen hut.
Yeah.
And that, I think, Misfortune, is when Zara Haas casts aside her greatcoat and leaps to the top of one of the standing stones and declares herself to be Ich bin der Rhinemaiden.
Nice.
What do you do, Mr.
I'm leaping towards her, guns a-blazing, and trying to like knock her back, kicking her off. Things go well narratively. We're gonna crash into the big rack of vials of liquids. There's always racks of vials of liquids.
Of course there are, with bubbles going up and down them.
Yeah.
Then let's engage with that. And then all we have to do is to worry about is Rasputin, who is still chanting. So, Misfortune, let's have you take on Der Rhinemaiden, or Die Rhinemaiden. Let me think. She is a masked vigilante. So I think the difficulty here is going to be, drumroll, 5.
Yeah. So, I mean, I've got how does this work again? What does friend do?
Friend would give you a die if you are.
Would give you 1 die.
Friend.
Okay. Well, I'm fighting for all of humanity, so yes.
And certainly,
being awesome for. Yeah, him too.
You're obviously being awesome here, aren't you?
Yeah. Yep. So 4.
You get +2 for the vigilante.
All right. So
And is this
6.
hands, feet?
I mean, it's either like could be tools or heart, because protecting people, fighting criminals.
Tools.
she's not-
Let's go tools.
Yep.
That's
So
9
6.
dice.
All right. Then I'll spend 4 spark, so you can't take any away from me. Oh wait, I guess I can only spend up to leave 1 left. I don't know what oh no means.
Yeah, that means you're out. I think if you're out of.
All right,
spark,
then I'll spend 3 spark, so I'm left with 1.
So you're
So if you don't
rolling
get a 1.
12 dice, I think, looking
Yeah.
for 5.
Yep. All right.
It-
Haha. 1, 2, 4. But 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 successes and 1 6 and 4 1s.
Oh,
So I'm
4.
at -3 spark.
You are. So I can't remember what happens down there. So if your pulp hero runs out of spark, they are down. If your
Right.
pulp hero is already down and then loses spark, then the player describes how they are out.
So
While
it
a
sounds
pulp hero
like
is out, the only scene they can appear in is one aimed at refreshing spark. Once they
it
have
sounds
some
like
spark
Misfortune
again-
is down but not out, but also successful at this roll.
Yes,
Yes.
exactly. Exactly.
Yep.
So describe how you put the Rhinemaiden down.
Oh yeah, as I said, we're firing, but like all the bullets missed, but then we're like getting up and close, and then finally like I do like a somersault type kick to knock her off and back into the big rack of bubbling liquids. But then like that sends me backwards into or under the big metal thing.
Oh,
don't
which
know.
is now sparking with arcane energy because of Rasputin's spell.
You should fall onto the missile as it launches, and
Yeah,
then
yeah, that's what I was going for.
yeah,
Thinking.
okay, good.
So now the only question is whether someone, Mr. Midnight,
yes.
can stop Rasputin.
Yes. So I'm going to have to do that. That very thing.
How?
Well,
And
It's-
like
it's-
as Rasputin is like pouring arcane energy into the thing, I'm like, Mr. Midnight, this is your territory. He's doing some mumbo jumbo. Get on it.
there's no such thing as magic.
Well, now is the
Says Mr.
time.
Midnight. But whatever he's doing, I'll put a stop to it. And I'm going to take out my wand, and I'm going to point it at him forcefully, and I'm going to stare into his eyes and go and say to him, this is don't be ridiculous. There's no such thing as magic. This can't possibly work. Magic is a fable invented by people to explain away the unseen mysteries of the world back when people were ignorant of the true understanding of things.
So
Let
you're
go.
convincing a
I'm
magician.
I'm putting a moment of doubt in him by sheer
Fine.
force of will.
Okay, so I think you are definitely hustling him.
Yes.
I think you are being awesome, using your mesmerism and jaw, which I think gets you to 10.
Yes.
10. Trust me, Rasputin believes in magic,
I know that.
and the arcane energy arcing around Miss Fortune and the projectile would seem to reinforce that. So I'm going to make this an incredibly difficult roll. I'm looking for 5 successes. No, we've never got to amazing. 6 successes.
I will.
Well, I'll
I will-
spend.
Looking at the rules there, and I'm thinking, Rasputin could potentially be a Titan God or world level threat, frankly. Yeah, I will throw in some spark.
I will
Well,
throw in some
let's so so far I think you've got 10 dice. You're looking for 6
Yes,
successes.
I'm giving it all I've got.
I mean, I have a question. Would
Yeah.
this be facing a major disaster and saving hundreds of lives, depending upon you?
Yes.
I think that sounds like a monstrous level of difficulty. This is what is written, so
I could not ignore that. 7 is what you're looking for. So far you got 10 dice, you're looking for 7.
I've
What
got
else do
12,
you
I've
spend?
got 12 dice by throwing in all the spark I've got.
Fine. So we've got 12 dice looking for 7.
I'll throw in my spark too, and I'll like I'll take my wrench and just like toss it at Rasputin, and even if that's just a momentary distraction, at least that will maybe help Mr. Midnight.
How many spark, Rocky?
Two spark.
So
Or-
I think we're now.
Wait, can I not spend all my? What happens? Can I spend down to no spark?
Yeah, that would
You
render
can. It takes you down.
which means that you can't do anything awesome until spark is refreshed. But looking at the clock, hey,
Yeah, sure. So I throw my wrench right as like the Nazis dogpile me for tossing their leader aside. So like Rocky is down, but the wrench serves as a momentary distraction for Rasputin.
so that's 14 dice. What about Rosy Strand?
I'll be the only one who doesn't take themselves out of the entire thing, and I will spend 2 spark.
That's 16 dice. What are you doing, Rosie?
I think it's not directly me, it's the professor. And he's screaming out from the side like, no, it is mad, it is not magic, it is simply the rocket fuel. It will explode under this pressure. Like,
he's turned slightly Russian, but I'll give you that.
yeah,
So
I can't do German accents. I slip
that's
into
16 dice. And finally, Misfortune. Is there anything you can do to help
I was
yourself?
taken out. So
Yeah, she's
so
down.
you are.
I was down, and then I got taken out. Right?
I'm sorry.
No, I don't think you're out.
You're not
You're
out. You're down.
I had
You're
to
just down.
lose 4 spark, and I only had 1. Right?
Oh, that's true.
Oh, yeah, maybe you are out. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
My
lying.
interpretation is that when you run out of spark, you're down, and then if you have an additional instance of losing spark, then you go out. But I don't know that like just going over.
Well, look,
I'm okay with being out because I think it's more dramatically appropriate.
Yeah, Rosie's over the sprawled on who's like across the gantry, right, falling off the rocket. Is it?
I think that is 14 dice looking for 7 successes.
16 dice.
16 dice looking for 7 successes.
All
Roll
right.
them bones.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
And 3 oofs.
4. Yeah. Well, no, I'm right. I'm going to be out. This supreme effort of will means I collapse at the end. But I got 4 6s.
You did. So you've got
the
7.
absolute and utter conviction that I have in the way that the world works forces itself on Rasputin at a critical moment. And his will wavers.
His eyes stop glowing, and he runs into the night to return in some future incident.
Yes, and then I collapse.
The wand wavers, and you collapse. And I think probably that's when the arcane magic around the sphere disappears. And Rosie, I think you are with Rocky, the only people who are not down. Oh no, hang on. Yeah. So Alan and Misfortune are currently down and out, I think.
I'm down but not out.
You're down but not out, and Rosie is neither down nor out. So how do we see you moving away from this this object?
Clearly, like all within the like the guts of this silo, it's like explosions are going off and there's smoke and people have disappeared into the clouds and there's running Nazi soldiers and scientists. And I Rocky, grab Alan, we gotta get out of here. And I say to the Haas kid, like, come on, help me get her up. And then we pick up Misfortune, And I'd like to suggest that
Mask slip.
a mask slips, and Rosy just looks for a second and then puts it back on.
Very good, very good, very good. And as we see you making your way up out of the crater, we'll see that we know that there's a fire burning down there, and we see Leo and Rocky helping Miss Fortune. We see Rosy helping Alan over the edge, the professor clutching his blueprints, all silhouetted against what's going on down there. The arc lights are still on, and then there's an enormous explosion, because there has to be.
No one could have survived that.
No one could have survived that.
Unspent special effects budget.
Indeed. And with 4 minutes to time,
Yay!
I think we go straight to epilogues. Yeah?
Yep.
So let me begin with Alan Dark, aka Mr. Midnight. When do we next see Alan?
Oh, at another show, of course. He is, back to normal. Performing at a stage show. With at the culmination, the very culmination of a stage show with some, dramatic illusion. Having brought a horse on stage and banished it in front of the audience's eyes.
And the crowd stand and applaud. And as we scan the crowd, we zoom in, and there are a pair of glowing eyes. Miss Fortune, what do we see of you or Diana?
So I think it's her coming back to the hideout, and then there's just an envelope on the table as she's opening it, and the viewer is left wondering, "Oh, what's this?"
And I think so I can have some complementary arrangement of that around that. I think that having thrown the Rhinemaiden into these bubbling, corrosive chemicals, I think we have to make use of another piece of stock footage, and the Rhinemaiden will be in Berlin saying, "But mein Führer, I can beat her next time." Rocky, what do we see of Rocky?
Yeah, I think there's a little montage at Rocky's garage where he's got the Rolls Royce from Hubert, and it's just is working on it clearly, and he's like pulling bits out of it, and he's like, shoddy construction, right? And it's like, oh, that's pretty good, right? So like he's examining different gizmos from the Rolls Royce, and then we see at some point the professor drops in to say thank you, Professor Haas, right? And they compare notes a little bit, and Rocky shows him what he's working on, pulling some of the Rolls Royce gizmos and putting them into a smaller chassis, and then it's Christmas morning. And Rocky's daughter, also Rosy, not to be confused with Rosy Strand. Rocky's daughter is opening up her present, and there's this little mechanical dog there, and her dad says, "I put some of those parts to better use." And the dog, gives a little mechanical yap, and Rosy hugs it. Yeah.
Great. And finally, Rosy. What do we see of Rosy after these events?
You see the front cover of the Gazette, R. Strand's byline. Nazi plot in Mongolia foiled by patriots. Does the fifth column lurk among us still, kind of thing, and lots of quotes. And it's got a picture of a very awkward Rocky stood next to a very startled-looking Professor Haas, and Hubert Hobson looking very smug and slimy in the picture as well. And it's saying that these American patriots went over to rescue these German scientists. Misfortune, famed vigilante, was also on the scene, and I'm not sure how Alan Dark feels about being in the headlines about such things.
And if I may, I'd like to have a small column with a picture of Diana's father, with a headline saying, "Commissioner still believes vigilantes are simply hooligans."
Yes, vigilante denies. Fifth column's focus, it says vigilantes are the real problem in Gauntlet City. And Rosie, reads it, smile on her face, folds the paper, and then she sat having high tea with her friend Diana Darling. And she just says like, "Well, I hope you had fun while we were away, Diana. I can't wait to hear all about all the juicy secrets that you've learned since I've been away."
Oh, it's ever such a bore.
And I can't resist then having us close out with Professor Breckenridge is speaking to camera saying, "Yes, Mr. President, I think that we may need them again."
Dun, dun,
And
dun.
that, I think, is our game.
Oh, he has the blueprints on the table that we stick.
Oh, yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
yes,
I've forgotten
yes.
about the blueprint. Sorry.
Yeah. No worries. Yeah.
Where is the nearest crater, Mr. President?
Arcane missile gap.
Okay, well, that was the most bizarre and fun time I've had in a while, folks. So I thank you for that. I would quite like a quick stars and wishes if you can give me another 5 minutes. Let's do that in character keeper order. Let's start with Alexi. Any stars?
Big stars for making sure I got to use my car. I appreciate that, both we decided the police chase would be sort of a diversion, and that we found another reason for a crazy car sequence. And I loved Ellen Dark stepping in, Brandon, to negotiate that wager and convince Rocky to put his darling car on the line here. Made for great stakes. I love that.
And I'd endorse that sudden realization of Rocky of thinking, hang on, I'm getting into myself here that I can't talk my way out of a paper bag. Help, guys. Okay. Joe, any stars?
I love all the characters. Very fun. Very fun action set piece towards the end. So good times.
Good. Will, any stars?
I loved how we embodied all of these pulpy archetypes. I thought they were great. I think that they really lend themselves to the idea, and I really like the episode framing. As a spitball the ideas and go for it. Let's see what happens. I loved it.
Well, we need something to replace the neighborhood creation in the original, don't we?
Yeah,
and
you
finally,
set yourself the challenge of doing that every
I know. I do wonder. I'm quite relieved this isn't a foreshot, I'll be honest. Brandon, any stars?
No, yeah, extra kudos for me for the episode framing, because that is that wonderfully differentiates each of the episodes in this case, and I thought that was brilliant, and I love all the characters, and I thought the action at the end was perfect, and so just wonderful.
Stars from me. The fact that Brandon Alan Dark set up the projection 2 hours ago, that was I thought it was going to be a balloon. But there you go. So a star for that. Misfortune. Joe, your good-natured acceptance that I cannot remember that friggin' name. I'm sorry. But yeah, I quite like the little scene with Gwendolyn. So thank you for that. Rosy Strand will, down to earth, playing with the kids, great. And actually, I think the same thing, Alexi, for Rocky. The car chase was great, but actually, it was the little car to the kid. I thought it was delightful. Okay, thorns. Wishes don't seem appropriate. Let me go back round. Alexi, thorns.
The thing I mentioned that felt a little weird, where it didn't matter often whether I was being normal or being awesome, because being normal was 3 and being awesome was 1, plus 2 for being an inventor. I wonder if the alternate version that makes this more of a choice has kind of being awesome apply more broadly, and then when I'm an inventor, then the bonus comes in. So that a little mechanical hiccup, though. I enjoyed the flavor of the choice every time, even if the dice pool was the same.
Yeah, I thought and it was only just in those last kind of the last hour did it kind of the penny drop with me that at some point you might as well roll normal, because actually you don't put your spark at risk.
Right, there we go.
Yeah. Joe, Thorns?
It's crunchier than I enjoy for a pulp game. There's like a lot of rules. Like the awesome normal thing, I'm like, just everyone be awesome. Like if we're pulp over the top heroes, like we don't deal with normalcy.
Yeah, I think that there's probably some more work to be done to take it further away, perhaps, from Hit the Streets.
I guess like we set up the wishes from last session, but like the new episode setup, just like, well, most of those won't matter now because we have a whole new location and everything. So like, I don't know. Like I think it all ties into being crunchier than I'm used to.
Fair point. Will?
I think I said at the start about the normal thing and being like, you can be the supporting characters in a like the Ace Reporter is also the supporting character of the Masked Vigilante thing, and I think that's got scope as well. I'm wondering about the divide between normal and awesome working a bit better in Hit the Streets, because your powers are specific, like your super stat and then your super thing, so they focus your character a bit more, whereas pulp awesomeness is quite crosses over with just badass normal. I don't, I think ultimately it just ends up with you having that kind of like similar dice pools no matter what you end up doing, depending on how you flip it. I'd say that maybe the individually framing each particular episode is a bit much, but I like the idea of it, and maybe like changing some of those elements, but keeping others perhaps. And in terms of like an overall thought, I think that we all just got a little bit bogged down before the finale in the village and stuff, and more in terms of like a pace, and I think that's because of the framing and the wishes and everything catching up with each other and snarling beforehand.
I felt that trying to hit the wishes in the no location. There you go. Brandon, any thorns?
Just the same one as everyone. Yeah, I think that Will put his finger on it, which is that differentiation, which is so apparent in Hit the Streets, because either you're using a superpower or you're not. Isn't there here, and so you might just have a base dice pool that's and just drop the whole normal awesome thing. You start with 2 dice, and then you add a stat and you add a bonus if your archetype and whatever you're great at apply.
Yeah, no, I think that's probably true.
One thing I did mean to say all throughout, my understanding is that you can take oops pals, whatever they're called, on normal rolls as well. It doesn't have to be awesome to lose for you spark at risk.
The rule says whenever there is tension in play.
Yeah, whenever there's tension, yeah.
Whenever I've run Hit the Streets, I've always used tension equals superpower.
Okay. Yeah, okay. That's it.
I have a question.
Sure.
Are you specifically looking to convert Hit the Streets to a pulp game, or are you looking for a good game to convert for a pulp game? What works best for a pulp game for you? I don't know.
I ran Hit the Streets and I enjoyed it a lot. And I thought that it could be reskinned with a little bit of tweaking to get a pulpy game. And it, for the most part, it's a kind of non-serious hack. For the most part, I'm reasonably happy with, that it generates some bizarreness. I think that probably the episodes per session is probably asking a lot in terms of cognitive load, but a lot of that is shared. So, I'm not too worried about that. But yeah,
the episode thing, I think like if you're running like a pulp serial, like the story concludes in one episode. So the episode is you're setting up the serial, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think it's whether I've got the energy to do any more with it, I don't know. But you know, it generated a suitably bizarre set of circumstances.
Super fun to play with all of you. I think what worked is everyone was on the same page about the type of story we wanted to create, and then bouncing ideas off each other, we created something really cool.
Yeah. So yeah, thank you, and let me finish the recording. There we go.